Welcome back to the Q&A. No countdown, we tricked you. Today we're joined with Mod Rock.
Hello.
Mod Ash.
Hello.
Mod Wolf.
Hello.
Mod Kieran.
Hello.
And myself, Mod Archie. Every single time, it's last second. Who wants to run through today's updates?
Today's updates. So we had the change to the jewellery box in player and houses. We also had the seeds in raids now last a lot longer on the floor.
And the potions.
And the potions. I can't believe
we had. So, Pirate Jackie the Fruit is now the diary master for all tiers of the Karamja diaries.
Yes.
And also the Chaos Death Spawns of the Necryl, the superior Necryl, are different colours to each other and different shapes so that you can see which one's which much more easily without having to try and see what projectile is coming out of them in your direction. So, yeah, I gave them different coloured outfits and different hats so that you can see what style they are even if you don't perceive colours the same way.
I also put a full stop on augury.
You did. Lucky augury.
Well, all right, that being said, we also did something kind of spectacular on the weekend. We hosted the Spring Invitational Dead Man Tournament. It was a massive success. Pretty much went exactly how we had anticipated it going.
2,000 dead men.
Yeah, pretty much. As Ainsley predicted, Lit won. Congrats to them. And the next season's already underway. Ainsley said in the video it's going to be lit. There's the reference.
I'm pretty sure it was.
We got there.
Okay. It will be lit, fam, is what he said.
I wasn't going to say that. He also said, trust me, daddy. So, anyways, the next season's underway. We've got plenty of ideas from the community to contribute to the next season and the next tournament, perhaps, some of which we will get into shortly. That being said, let's get into the questions. First one's from Boulder Falcon. It says, Leon Decour is the head of the Champion Scroll Challenge. You face him when you have successfully beaten the challenges from every other scroll. Also, not sure if we have an image for this one, but you guys, I don't know if you've seen the cape. It's a blue cape with 3 gold lions on it.
Yeah.
Currently, there are no real rewards for completing clue scrolls, or completing the scrolls, sorry, even though one of them is the rarest achievements of the game, or is one rather. Can we have this basically also won by Toby and Brock?
I really like this idea, mainly because the model's already there and it's already being worn on an NPC. So
it might not have a female model.
It's established that you can do it on male accounts. We'd have to get the model adapted to fit the female form.
Yes. I think it's a cool idea. It's one of those things that people get and there isn't really anything to show for it. Previously they added that little impling thing a long time ago, do you remember?
I think a pet of that nature is maybe not what we need, but the cape, on the other hand, I got no problem with.
Yeah, the cape I like.
Also, we would be able to add more rewards for killing those champions and let you claim them retroactive if you did it before the update came out. I mean, I'm not sure what, but we would be able to.
I'm sure we, all the players, can think of something to give for it.
They give, what, like 200 Slayer XP at the moment? I don't know why.
No idea.
I mean, the guy who wrote it had written the Slayer skill, so maybe this was his kind of sequel to it. It's a bit
maybe he didn't balance it and thought they were common.
Yes, then he meant to type 1 in 5, not 5,000.
He did have some unusual ideas about the amount of XP you should get as rewards for things. Like, he wrote Pest Control as well, and in the original draft, almost before launch, the reward was going to be your lowest combat stat, 10 times your XP in it. So if you went in as a level, as a pure with 1 defense, you'd get 10 XP, and that would be your reward. And if you kept playing it for long enough, you'd eventually get to level 2 and get 20 XP per pest control game. I mean, it was faster in those days, but all the same, perhaps these weren't the rewards people were looking for.
Perhaps not.
Right. Moving on to the next question then. Colossus says, can you give us one more clue about Crack the Clue?
Have we given them one yet?
No. Given that Matt isn't on the couch, I'm going to say his answer is probably still no.
How many of us on the couch know where it is?
I know where it is.
I can't remember.
I have an idea from hearing people talk about it. I probably do.
I know the location, but I don't know how to solve it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I was told, but I forgot, so.
I don't know, they were making good progress and then they just stopped.
Oh, that's...
Oh, there's your clue.
Is that a hint?
Jeez. All right. J-Man says, can Sacred Eels finally get a buff? They have been awful since release and dead content for something that is level 87 fishing.
It became rather less pressing once the repol passed for breaking down the Zora helm pieces into scales. That was the thing they were mostly trying to address before, and then this passed and it became less of an issue.
We've said several times that it could do with a buff now after that update, though. I think
We have.
we're just not going around to it.
Had quite a few other things on,
Yeah.
sadly.
I mean, I was talking to Mod Rock about it when we were discussing lava reel fishing for...
Yeah,
for the-
it makes sense to up the scale fishing at the same time as those get released, so they're kind of on par with each other, but for different reasons.
Yeah, or maybe not at the same time as release, but rather, if people also don't like that as well, we can buff them both simultaneously, because they're relatively similar in terms of design and what they do, but yeah.
What we didn't want to do was introduce a new fishing method that was going to take people away from the fishing of fish, which they commonly do, and make them want to do this instead, regardless of the scales. Because that would also bring scales into the game really fast if all the fish is moved there. So the idea was, I think what we'd be buffing is the number of scales rather than the XP rates.
Yes.
All right. XX420 says, could the rare drop table be revamped, made something to be made something to look forward to? Another one that's brought up just about every week. It gets so much support.
Maz did some pretty heavy things to it, to be honest, when she made the Rig of Wealth more effective on it. With the Rig of Wealth on, it's a lot more valuable than it used to be.
It might have came up because OSRS have actually just released an update on this table. One of which I like, and that is they made the rare drop table always an additional drop
That is the best
to your
part
normal
about it.
loot. So you don't get that and think, oh, my normal Bandos drop was 20k coins. That's way better. It might be good against a low-level Slayer creature, but
Bandos.
it doesn't fit all tables, does it?
Yeah.
So
it is. Yeah. If
it's always additional, you ain't going to complain about it, because then it is a special extra drop, even if it is just a gem.
So what would happen at Gorax?
Good question.
Presumably it would be additional to nothing.
Yeah, an additional drop to
Given the way
literally nothing.
Gorax work.
But I think that's a reasonable change.
Mind you, there is actually a lot of stuff on the Gorax table that is not being used because of that bug in it.
To give some context for the chocolate, those wondering, we were just given chocolate because it's Easter almost. So
Speaking of which,
It's
the
almost
Easter
there.
event will be out next week.
there.
Good segue, good segue here.
Written by Mod
Yeah.
John C this year.
All right. Where are we here?
Ronan's wearing the headset, so he's just kind of got a little bit scared with the noise.
Sorry if that was loud. I don't know how it was that loud.
Easter traditions are different in various countries.
Yeah.
In this one, apparently, we get large chocolate eggs, which are hollow on the inside with room for, therefore, some candy in, and we hit them with swords.
Was that one yours? That one was yours, right?
That one was mine,
Okay,
yeah.
Say
good.
we.
'cause
I didn't smash yours.
Okay, good.
Ronan's going to eat it if it's over there now.
Question. Rejuve says, can we get a small buff for curved and long bones?
In what sense? A bigger drop rate or more XP?
More XP.
They are a bit rubbish for how rare they are.
And
You
yet
can't really
people sure
farm
do
them in
seem to
any way.
collect them because people are caring about getting them out of raiding dungeons to take back to Dorgesh Khan.
It's kind of like while you're killing things and stuff like that, some bonus construction experience. Is it construction and crafting, I believe?
Depending on
And
what
I think so.
yeah.
Certainly construction.
Yeah, so some XP when you're not training that specific skill is always a bonus. Whether it's
Can you
enough
actually
is-
build? Can you build anything with them in
No,
construction?
you take him to the bone collecting
Yeah.
goblin you learn stuff in exchange for giving him the bone.
I remember a long time ago when zombie implings were released. I realise I said long for long one, yeah. But a long time ago, zombie implings were released and they had a chance of giving long and curved bones as well. And that was actually something that people would collect so they could get lots of these bones in one go.
Provided a way to farm them for extremely
Which was
amounts of
insane,
gold. But
yes. Not suggesting that, just saying.
We've agreed we'd like them to give more experience then, or?
We
wouldn't
have
mind.
no objection to it because the things are rare and they're not likely to become massively OP, whatever we do to them.
Okay, fantastic. Player says, will you be adding stores to the likes of More Ulrek? More Yulrek? More...
there are plans for a few stores there.
How do you pronounce it?
more all wreck.
More Ulrek.
More Ulrek. I don't know.
Mortal wreck.
Sorry.
I always thought Tsar was Tsar.
So did I.
Yeah.
Is there going to be more stores then?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Any hints as to what we can say those stores will contain, or keeping that a secret?
Secret.
Cool.
For what it's worth, when we put Zara out, some of the feedback when we began was it just needed more generic shops, like more rune shops in the Arceus area and things like that.
Well, there's always a lot of suggestions coming in from Iron Man in specific, saying, can we get a shop or a better way to obtain this item?
Yeah, I'm not sure a shop is necessarily better, even if it's fast and convenient and doesn't require you to put too much gameplay in.
I might make some of them stealable as well.
I did see in the chat, what does it mean? It does translate to something in Tsar language, if you want to Google it. I know what it means, but I don't want to say it.
Why just say it?
Oh.
They're asking, they can look it up.
Okay. Well, it means like baby circle age, and it's got something to do with the way that the eggs are put inside of the center and they grow.
I don't remember that being what it meant.
I guarantee you.
One of them was the word old, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, sorry, old baby circle. It's something like that. Look it up. Old circle young.
You had at least 2/3 of them wrong.
It was something like that.
There's only 3 words, and you said I'm 100% sure.
I
with
guarantee
2 out
it'll
of
be
3
this,
wrong.
but it might not be.
It's something like that.
Something to do with babies and circles and old or new things.
It's to do with life and the law surrounding the area. Garrett's going to slap me when I get upstairs. I've just ruined his law.
Old baby circle. We would never see old baby circle.
Oh, sorry, because age circle young is much better.
Well, if the circle is a 0, that would be interesting. I'm not sure they use 0 in that way in their numbers.
Someone said mod wrong.
Garrett's
Okay.
he's not going
All
to
right. Do we have an image with this next one? It's not really needed, but Etik says, can we make zombies blue again?
I saw this.
I quite like it.
What, they're
the rocks.
currently green?
We made the rocks old again, didn't we?
Yeah?
Was there an image?
That was an image, unfortunately, so we can't.
Okay, picture a blue zombie.
So it's not, they can see the picture though.
So they were at one point blue, we changed them to green, and
They
now
like
changed
it.
them to blue.
I like
All
it.
right.
What,
Don't
the
have a problem
blueness
with that,
or
we
the
can always-
greenness?
The
Put it
blueness.
to the players to vote for it, like we did with the
rocks.
Varric guards.
The question is whether they're asking for the shape to be kept or whether they're asking for the original model to be dug out. We probably still have it.
I presume
I
that's probably
presume
what
the
they
model
want.
as well. Yeah.
In fact, at the same time, I'd like to re-offer those Varrock guards.
Yeah. Yeah, I hate those.
It was a long time ago they got made.
I feel like it's a meme.
That got
Why is
pulled.
there so much support for this? We're getting memed?
No.
Woo, something's popular.
Blue
Remember when the
zombies.
rocks were offered? And
'Cause
everybody was
they're
like,
unique.
Yes,
Well, I
yes,
know
yes.
that, but...
Yes, so that was quite why I was surprised the rock guards didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about offering the old dragon, or at least just one of them?
Just one. It would be easy to do them all. That way they can use the same code to animate.
Yeah.
Just throw it out there.
Yeah. All right.
We have a dragon that turns inside out because it's doing the wrong animation, so they might love that.
Was there something that stopped us giving the old Varrock fountain?
We couldn't find an existing model for the thing that was in the middle.
Damn.
However, these days we have artists who can make models. In
That might look
2013, that was not
similar,
the
yeah.
case.
It's I don't know how Mod Ghost would reply to saying, you made this look good, now make it look like it's old again. Older. But the fountain, I could see maybe some support for that.
Yeah, we were quite keen before. When we didn't have artists, we just couldn't find the existing model for what the heck that thing was in the middle that the statue stood on, and that was a sticking point for us then. Now it isn't, because we can make models.
Right.
For the old NPCs, there was the suggestion when we got rid of random events to put them in the Baroque Museum or have somewhere where they exist. Do you reckon that'd be possible with the old models to have somewhere in game that you can just, I don't know,
An ancient dragon.
Well, rather like we did for the first birthday in Prifddinas. With
That's cool.
The mammoths and the zoo with the best attempt we could at the time of old NPCs. We can do that, not in Prifddinas.
Or just add them all to the Ardoin Zoo.
Yeah, maybe somewhere, maybe somewhere underground under it.
The
It's a
Abyssal
bit
Plane. We have
full.
that area free now. Now that's not a random event.
You know, we don't have the meeting history quest, but we do have making history. Well, if we did have the ability to go back to the earlier eras, like that the meeting history quest allows, then that could be a time when you see them.
Well, we've got a few questions for the artists when we go back upstairs. That's fine. Where have we gone to here? Huffola says, can the Grand Exchange merchants use coins directly from our bank to purchase items?
It's not that far from a bank.
That's exactly the answer we gave last time.
Easy escape.
But it comes back up, and a lot of people supporting it saying, yes, read this one.
It's because this guy, he went to the Grand Exchange. He was desperate for some food. He was about to die from poison and was trying to buy an anti-poison. He forgot his coins, trying to buy it. Damn it, I've got no coins. Went to go to the bank, got his coins out. Oh, he died from poison.
If he had no-
And then he went straight onto the Reddit, typed these questions saying, oh, we need coins directly from the bank into the GE.
Well, you're definitely offending this player, I'll tell you that. You're picking a fight.
I always say the Reddit like a granddad, the Reddit and the
It's
Twitter.
the old school Reddit.
Okay,
So it's just short for the old school Reddit.
Well, safe to say we don't think that one would come anywhere close in a poll. Apologies. Next question is from Ops, who says, would you consider a 70-75 defense requirement for the Infernal Cape?
73 maybe.
I'm done.
That's it.
I'm actually
can't
there's
be
no
beaten
need for
now,
this
it's
to go
all
on. I guess I'll stay right.
Oh, and the zoom in of shame. Sorry, what was the question? I was too busy listening to the meme.
Okay, so Infernal Cape, to put a defense requirement on it. Firstly,
No, personally.
I'm going to get quoted for this.
You gotta be careful what you say. Think about
I
it.
don't think one defense pures, I hope they won't stand a chance. So, to say you would need at least a base set of gear to beat the entire, the Inferno.
We can't say that in 50 years' time no one's going to do it with one
I
defense.
mean, yeah, saying that it's not possible means somebody will do it. So I'm not going to say that. Ideally, you won't be able to do it as a one defense pure. So, should it require 70 to 75 defense though? Is that a little high? I mean, all Zerker pures, Void pures, what you name it, they're not going to be able to partake in this.
I think if you did manage to do it with incredibly low defense, you deserve the achievement of having the cape.
Yeah.
I think the only requirement should be doing the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Poop says, is there any way we can know how much is our player-owned house full value?
It does actually have some code for calculating that kind of thing based on the cost of the ingredients of each item in there. The code's commented out not doing anything, but if we uncommented it and found out whether it worked or not, we might get a nice number.
A depressing
I'm not
number.
quite sure what they were planning on doing with that, by the way.
Yeah.
It would be fun to write on the website, though.
Someone wants to show off more than just buying the 100 million coins. Then they've got 12 dragons beneath their house and everything else.
Well, yeah, if people started ranking themselves on that, it might be an interesting cash sink.
Cribs. RuneScape cribs. Brilliant.
It wouldn't be able to track, of course, that, you know, if you build something and delete it again, it wouldn't count the cost of the thing you deleted. It would be counting the total cost of the house you have, rather than the house you might have had at some previous point.
Okay.
That'd be an interesting high scores, because it would be like 25, 30 odd rooms.
How many
with just
demonic thrones can you build,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
And also it would be susceptible to going wrong when we changed the value of an ingredient or changed the notional cost of an ingredient.
How much do we have any way to see how much you pay a butler in total to 99 construction or?
Now you kind of do, I guess, inadvertently with your.
If you were to throw hundreds of millions of coins in your, or as much coins as you can in your coffer, you'll be able to count. But there isn't a specific number that.
It'd be interesting to see like a part of his dialogue to say how much have I given you?
It might be something analytics can do.
They might be able to find out how much butlers have taken out the game in total, because I would be interested in that.
And should we do?
400 tweets to Mod Lottie going, how much GP have we spent on butlers?
We should do pimp my house. RuneScape pimp my house.
Also, when you're going out through the fairy ring from a house and the servant follows you, as they have a chance of doing, they should really be skipping around in glee at all the money they've acquired.
Yeah, when that happens, it's not a bug. Stop reporting.
No,
it.
now you've said it. Now you've said it, and they're going to do it.
Well, sort it out tomorrow morning then.
Okay, moving on. FT Work says, can the obsidian armor pole degrade similar to barrows and be repaired with Toggle from a smithing czar? So originally, when we were talking about the obsidian armor before we pulled it, we had the idea of offering a lower tiered and a higher tiered gear set, perhaps using something like smoldering stones or Tokkul or something to make just a better version of it. However, we didn't think that would pass a poll, as it would have to have been better than Bandos, which I don't think you guys would be a fan of. But having it degrade, similar to Bandos, I mean, the argument there is it's not what we pulled, and it's already passed. So I feel like we'd probably have to re-pull that.
If we were to look for future content to come from that area, like an upgraded set of armor, if we wanted to add something which is a lot more, even more difficult, and then eventually get armor that's better than Bandos at some point, then there may be room for it.
It's a very, very difficult one
Very.
to get past a pull there.
How does degrading? I mean, you do PKing. Rolling this nice zoom in. The PvP armor. When you're fighting in PvP, if this stuff degrades and you get it from someone, obviously you get it broken.
You get the broken version.
If there's a lot of cost in using it alone, and inconvenient cost at that, because you've got to go and convert whatever coins you've got to Tokkul to be able to repair it, then it's probably quite inconvenient when using it in PvP, and that's probably its primary use.
I don't know. I mean, it degrades quite slowly. The thing with this armor set in PvP is I don't think people will be risking the full set. I imagine it will come with a hefty cost in the beginning, and unless you're 4-iteming, don't do that. Yeah, I don't really see that being the case. I wouldn't see it really being much of a concern at all, to be honest. I'm just saying, like, if it's not what we pulled originally, it sounds weird to go and say, let's now offer this.
I did see a unique suggestion for Tokkul, though, for the city, to add a new type of shop, where, similar to in-house repair stands, you could spend Tokkul with this shop to repair your stuff, like your barrows instead of coins. I quite like that idea. Another reason to use your Tokkul other than simply an onyx is quite nice, but
I don't mind.
I don't know if people would.
Makes no sense. Using Tokkul to repair bandos, or barrows, sorry.
Well, we have a cache sink. Replacing it with a Tokkul sink, or at least making it optional to use a Tokkul sink instead of a cache sink is, well, less of a cache sink, but slightly more of a Tokkul sink. I think finding something different to do it to, or something new, might serve us better. And also in future, players might be more open to new things that would degrade and be repaired by this, even if we're not trying to change the existing thing we polled.
Speaking of which, for those who don't know, somebody was saying go vote in the poll. It's closed, isn't it?
Yes, it closed this morning around the time of the update.
There you go. And have we given a quite close to exact date?
Early summer.
Early summer, all right. Look forward to that. Moving on. Fizzmaster says, will we ever see more content designed around the disease mechanic, maybe as an option for PVM?
I personally really don't like the disease mechanic and would not want to design content around it. I don't know about you guys.
It has the drawback that you need a Zoga Flesh Eater's requirement on the content, which is quite a drawback, really, because that quest's got, well, it's not something everyone's done. Making it more useful makes sense, but, you know, I'm not very fond of it either, to be honest. The original plan when Titan created it, I think, was that there'd be PvP disease, and that people would want to bring their selection of cures for the various diseases that would be introduced in future, along with their poison cure potion, and then they'd have to decide how to plan their inventory so as to carry which diseases they thought they might encounter on this wilderness trip. And then we didn't do it.
Trying to take 7 potions in the inventory when you go PKing for
Good call on whoever said don't do that.
Andrew Gower.
Ah. Well played.
Turns out he knew how to write games.
Okay, I missed a question actually. Another one from FT Work saying, can new co-op Slayer only bosses / monsters be added? So better rewards.
The problem with co-op Slayer is that it doesn't have the nicest functionality that we would like, but unfortunately, due to limitations that we've got at the moment, we can't do a better system other than what we've got. The system in RS3 actually works quite well in terms of you can go out, your task is counted together, and then you get team points at the end of it, I think. there's a different set of points with a different reward shop and stuff.
They've got a lot more grouping infrastructure than we've got available to us.
I think the main reason, especially being expressed in the chat, is no because I have no friends, or no because I don't want to feel like I have to go do Slay with somebody else.
I think that's the biggest-
So many people with no friends. You're together in one chat room. Make friends. Welcome to the internet.
I think
It's
there's
full
a
of
third
beautiful
option
people.
of no RS3.
Yeah, Twitch. We're also streaming to YouTube. You two can make friends.
It's an MMORPG. Lots of players. Massively multiplayer, even.
All right.
Thousands of players alone together.
Where have we gone to? No says, suggestion, whip and Kraken sync. Abyssal Tentacle and another Kraken Tentacle makes a heavy Kraken Tentacle, which...
Sorry.
No, it's
Go ahead. Please go.
Come on. Which allows you to use the aggressive combat style. Same amount of charges, and when it degrades, you get neither of the items back.
You know, actually, I'm not going to lie. Adding a different combat style isn't the worst idea. I actually quite like that. I don't know if it's the right way of doing it.
So this would allow you to train strength only with it, and I believe it also gives you a higher max hit, which means this would replace the weapon used in the duel arena.
Wouldn't it ruin like the Sarah sword as well? Isn't that like main?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, all right.
So all the no's in the chat, it was a good try. One day we will find a sync.
If we
Reasonable
get-
idea.
If we've got a heavy tentacle, we can call it the tontacle.
Yeah. All right.
That's my condition.
Glenn says, is there any way to make it so that when you switch weapons, you maintain your autocast when switching back to the staff you were previously using?
It's have to be able to check that you could still cast the relevant spell with the staff you now had, which is not good, guaranteed to be the case. We're not going to be remembering a separate autocast preference for every kind of staff you might have equipped. So I wouldn't rule it out, but they seem to have slightly mixed views.
There's a guy on YouTube saying yes.
There's a guy
We've
on YouTube.
got several on Twitch saying yes. Some easy escapes in there. Would make hybrid PKing perhaps a little bit easier.
They accepted the Trident, though it was important they didn't accept it for general PvP use. So clearly switching how you autocast is still sensitive to them.
Okay. Perhaps one to hang on to for a poll. Mage says, can you confirm that the Inferno will be a safe death?
Yeah, well.
Aw.
Oh, yeah. We're in there to kill you. We ain't gonna make you potentially lose your stuff in such a scenario like the fight gears where you can just go and get one hit like Jed.
So the investment will be the time and indeed the materials you take.
The materials, yeah. Fight gears runs for low level players. You go all the way to Jed. You do spend a fair amount. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that time.
Heisenberg, can we get the arrow packs from Last Man Standing into range shops around the game? Rune and Natty arrow packs.
Code ain't going to be a problem.
Can't think of any reason not to.
The code certainly won't be a problem.
What about free to play for the Addies?
I like that idea, putting the Addy pack in free to play, because it makes it a lot easier then to get those arrows.
I think as a rule with the items free to play, we make the pack free to play. We just have to make sure we never end up with one member's item somewhere in a free to play shop, because I'm not sure that would serve too well. They'd probably be able to buy it, and then they can have it and not use it.
Well, we could put Addy packs in Varrock and then the rune packs in the Rangers Guild. Or something like that.
Okay. Where have we gone to? The Finkinator. Will there be any more skilling pets?
potentially.
Wouldn't be surprised. Players sure do ask for them.
I think you have to think about the way of how you get them. 'Cause I think a lot of the skills left are Bibles.
Yeah.
So we would have to find a way where you'd have to kind of work for it, like you do in the Wintertodt.
I went
To an
through all the remaining skills and they're all Bibles apart from Slayer. We don't have a Slayer pet.
With Slay, you've got boss pets.
A Slayer pet would be dead.
Fire making is a Bible, but we found a different way to offer that pet.
Yeah, and we didn't technically class it as a skill pet in that it doesn't have an increased chance if you're on 200 mil XP, which we were leaving ourselves what I think is the scope to do a more conventional farm-making pet in the future if players change their views on how viable pets should be.
Okay.
And farming may be viable, as a player points out in the Twitch chat, but you can't actually buy a lot of seeds and then blitz through them as fast as you want to try and get the pet quickly. It's not as viable as, say, cooking.
Can we do a straw poll on viable pets, please?
Ronan's
Do you
on
have
it.
a problem with viable pets?
But
Us or,
do you like them? This makes them seem angry.
What's your problem?
What's your problem? Bible pets, yes, no.
We also get requests for pets from things that are not skills from time to time.
Oh, they're very angry. Don't even bother straw playing.
Is it that bad?
Can we get a drunken dwarf
You're
for
seeing
doing
one guy
trouble
say
brewing?
yes, who has a lot of money and wants pets.
A little drunken dwarf that follows you around. Oh,
Technically, you should probably get a drunken pirate that follows you around. A small one, as it's a pet, that lives in your pocket.
Oh, that's a nice little feature. Look at
I
that.
think is that better or is that
Well,
regular?
who did that feature?
I
That'd
don't
be
know if
better
that's
Twitch
better
TV, I
or-
think.
yeah, that is.
We ain't got better Twitch TV on.
we do.
No, I downloaded
We do.
it before the thing.
Oh,
It's
did
like
we?
a whole new
Unfortunately.
world of possibilities.
Okay, while we wait for the results on that, the next question is from EMC, who says, how will the new level 90 pickpocket targets be made useful? Toggle is not the most useful resource.
Well, they might have more than Toggle in their pockets.
Ooh,
So
that made
you
me
never know
uncomfortable.
what they can have in their pockets, really.
Do these things wear clothes?
No.
What are you picking?
Cracks.
Oh,
Cracks in their rocky skin. Could you describe it as skin? I don't know.
We are looking at the results of the straw poll. Should viable pets be added to old schools? 64% say no.
it's actually higher than what I thought it would be. I mean, I didn't expect it to be majority yes, but it's. I said no. That's not. I'm agreeing with what it's saying. I'm just kind of surprised.
But yeah, that means we do have to go for special circumstances for those skills to have pets,
Yep.
Cool.
which is fine.
Well, we also said we rather liked skilling bosses.
Yeah.
And is it true that there's still nobody in the game that has all of the pets?
Someone has all the boss pets, I believe, but not all the skill pets.
Right.
Yeah, I think that happened yesterday, which, if I remember correctly, I think it was it Duo Armadillo?
Can't remember.
I can't remember who exactly it was. I saw it come. But I think the highest might be 31 out of 35,
Wow, we have 35 pets.
something like that. I can't remember the exact
Casey
numbers.
is like 5 off. There you go.
Oh,
Okay. Mo says, what happened to the new troll quest mentioned at RuneFest? Has it been delayed?
Well, we can only really take 2 big projects at a time, and between, of course, the Inferno and Maz's work towards Fossil Island that she's been gathering so much feedback on from you about, we can't really take a third project at the moment. So I'm doing quite a lot of the smaller jobs that have come from your other requests and bug fixes, and Jed's working away he's been working with Maz on the Fossil Island stuff as well as other projects. But I'm afraid we can't be developing the Troll Quest now as well. Of course, Kieran's indicated when the Inferno is coming out. After that, we'll see what comes next. It may not be the Troll Quest, but it'll free us up to do other things.
Yeah.
And, we do get a good few hundred suggestions every day of what those other things could be.
Yeah, there's another question saying wilderness rejuvenation as well. Of course, that's on the list of things we'd like to offer,
I'd
but
actually rather do that than Troll Quest.
yeah. All right. Shinchi says, are we likely to see any new agility training methods in the future? Currently, it's restricted to running around in circles, which is dull and click intensive.
I
Go
think
to
you might want to give
Brimhaven.
some hints about your thought.
If you go to Brimhaven,
or
you run
maybe
in
not.
squares.
At least it's not a circle every time.
Well, quite.
that's very
Is there something
posh.
we had some sort of agility planned for Fossil Island? I don't know. Did we? Is that still on the cards?
Well, maybe you could share your idea for it, and
Yeah.
even if it doesn't come with Fossil Island.
Yeah, so there's the idea that potentially underwater on Fossil Island, there'll be some sort of agility course where you're looking for treasure that spawns around on the ground. We don't exactly know the details yet, but it's a more interactive agility. similar to Brimhaven, is that there's things you need to get to. You're swimming around underwater, but between like maybe there's a broken ship and you need to squeeze through a wall in there while you're floating about in the water. But the thing that makes it more interesting is that you can't get into this place with your big fishbowl helmet on. It's too big. You can't get quite through the entrance of the ship. So you need to go in without that, and then you need to hold your breath. You only have so much breath. So when it's running out, you need to make sure you get to an air pocket, which tops it up.
How much
every now
breath
and
do
then.
they get? 2 minutes?
Who knows?
1 per lung.
Okay.
But if you ran out of air, you would die, or you would start taking rapid damage at least.
They seemed excited over that.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think
really well.
that sounds interesting.
Yeah.
You only had to say underwater. Sold.
Yeah.
All right. GF says, speaking of underwater, could the Brine Saber special attack be allowed to be used everywhere? We only have 2 underwater areas.
Well, this might help.
What does the spec do?
More damage against opponents underwater?
It's called liquefy. That's as much as I know.
I assume that's what it does.
Sounds like it turn things into water.
Maybe it does more damage against fire opponents. That doesn't make much sense.
The last
maybe.
change we made to the brine saber was you could use it to kill rock slugs because it's made out of brine, which has salt in it.
Ha! Nice.
That's actually really cool.
So yeah, we could find some more things.
Panic buy.
I mean,
Everyone's at the Grand Exchange.
I saw a suggestion the other day when we were talking about Slayer suggestions about the like a gorgon that was an underwater Slayer creature, and if you use a brine saber to kill that. I mean, if we're planning on an underwater
Fossil Island will have some
that.
unique creatures.
Yes.
And potentially, there's been a lot of potential for one of those to be underwater.
Ooh.
That's what I think.
It's the sort of underwater where you're not swimming, though. The sort of underwater, like Recipe for Disaster, where you end up stood on the bottom, so that you can do all your normal combat animations. Otherwise, we'd have to make a second version of all combat animations while you're floating as well. So,
I mean, we could get away with some underwater bosses. We've got the Kraken, Zulra, underwater.
Originally, the thought for the Kraken was we would make it like an underwater boss where you pursued it underwater into underwater caves and fought it there as you chased it from cave to cave until you got to its final lair. We didn't pursue that idea partly because we had almost no dev tools at the time, which made it rather difficult to do anything at all. And then the Kraken got used for Slayer updates instead. That's a much smaller thing.
All right. Ipsyria says, with farming in raids, does the patch yield scale from who plants it or who is picking it?
from who's picking it.
Okay.
If you're picking it and you've got a low farming level, you're more likely to mess it up and rip something off, essentially.
That's interesting. Dullmaster says, make the new wyverns on Fossil Island require 95 Slayer and have them drop the dragon plate body.
95 Slayer and a dragon plate body seems a bit of a mismatch.
Yeah.
As I recall, last time we suggested tying the dragon plate body to a new high-level Slayer monster. Players were pretty scathing about it. It may have changed. It does not appear to have done so.
Well, I don't think we're as desperate to see the dragon plate body as some players are.
I think we have to find the right piece of content for it to come out with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, wyverns are kind of dragons,
We
so
would do like a Dragon Slayer 2.
That's the suggestion it's tied to.
It also begs the question of whether the thing's tradable. With level 95 Slayer on it, if it weren't tradable, that would be one heck of a requirement for it.
right. I'd imagine it would be.
With regards to Fossil Island, the plan is that a developer blog will be out for that next week. But before that, we're going to have the dev blog on Friday for the next poll, which is going to be mainly Slayer themed. We've been taking a load of ideas from the community. So we'll have that. We'll be polling that next week, all these Slayer changes. And following that, as soon as possible, we will have the Fossil Island developer blog up, which will include those wyverns.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Mate says, what we really need to implement is a weakness/resistance system to make certain weapons viable again. Gargoyles, for example, are supposed to be weak against crush and magic, but everybody kills them with a whip. Make things like fire giants more vulnerable against water spells.
It's a lot harder to add this retroactively to old creatures because you change the meta massively. And I can imagine when you're doing Slayer, if all of a sudden gargoyles you can basically only damage with crush, and this other creature you can only damage with slash, it would get annoying to go and change weapon constantly.
I would say just make them better than
better, but you would have to go and change all the time. It might be annoying, and it changes up the skill fundamentally right now. But for future creatures, I love these ideas, and I've always wanted, I've mentioned it a few times, wanting to do it with elemental spells as a very obvious entry point, that you make a water creature, you make a fire creature and it's weak to water spells, for example. And that's very obvious, and I find it cool to do that sort of thing, and it really gives a use to those elemental spells that are not so useful.
I've added a few parameters to the spell metadata inside the code so that we can more easily add that kind of thing in future, because I can just see we're going to want it.
There's a lot of stuff about Aussie servers, but there's nothing more for us to tell you, I'm afraid. But as soon as we know, we will say something. We will give you the information.
Asking us for an ETA in the past wasn't all that useful, as you recall, so having us give you another one now when we don't have a reliable one to give you would not be helpful either.
All right, let's try to move on to a couple of Deadman suggestions here. Wanted says, can you add a key pouch which can hold 3 to 5 keys, as well as a rune pouch to Deadman? Can be bought with blood money.
There's something on the upcoming Saleya poll which actually might allow you to start getting rune pouches in Deadman. I'll wait for the dev blog for you to find out about that. In terms of a key bag, I think that sort of goes against the whole element that when you're carrying 5 keys, you've got more risk. You've got less inventory space for food and potions, and I wouldn't want to change that.
Yep. Doc says, can we have an Iron Man mode in Deadman? Would help Deadman stay more alive. So would still have PK drops and keys. So to touch on this, some people are saying when we did this season, which you couldn't trade players, we did that. We reverted it, I believe, after a couple of weeks. Something like that. It's really not something that we can currently offer. As you state here, you have to kill somebody, or sorry, when you kill somebody, you get their stuff. If somebody wanted to trade with somebody, they could just say, okay, kill me. You get my stuff. That's a trade. So if we can find a way around that, we can potentially reconsider that, but
doesn't look like they mind.
Okay. Also eliminate swapping. But yeah, there's more to that to look into. Alba says, can we see the worlds that got removed from Deadman today as normal worlds?
See, here's the thing. If we do that and let you use them as normal worlds when they're not being Deadman, then when we next do a Deadman season, and it does seem likely there'll be more of these competitive gaming events, we'd be taking them away again. At which point we'd get the exact same complaints we had a few months ago, like, why don't you put up new worlds to be the Deadman worlds instead of taking away from the normal game that we pay for? So rather than always taking away from the game, we've got some separate worlds that we can put up and down as we need for these separate events, and hopefully we won't have to disrupt the normal old school game when we want to run events in future. But it means that we can't use them as normal worlds like that.
Okay. Doc says, can Entangle last 15 seconds on Protect Mage in Deadman mode to make it more useful? Again, another one that's already been asked. But I'd personally like to get the team's opinion on this. I'm in favor of it.
Happy
it's
to.
Only Deadman. So, especially now that we have locked Ancients until, what, the second week? First week is Ancients. Pharaoh's is second week.
Pharaoh's is first week too this time.
Oh, okay.
Everything's first week.
Well, for that first week, and PKing with Entangled makes PKing extremely challenging. It really doesn't encourage PKing at all. This would certainly aid that. I think it'd be worthwhile.
If it makes the early game more useful, which seems to be what a lot of players love about Deadman, then it makes sense to do something like that to make early game a lot better.
Okay. Clue says, are you going to do anything about scouting in raids?
We've got an engine change requested that would make it less effective. We don't have an ETA for it, however.
All right. I've got a little bit more Deadman before we get back into the normal stuff, I think. Wanted says, after quests are unlocked for all Deadman players tomorrow, can you still allow us to complete quests for the rewards and experience?
That would be very, very challenging, and we can't really do that.
It would mean that the quest is complete, but not complete because you can do the quest and be halfway through the quest while it's already complete. That's not really something the quests were programmed to handle, I'm afraid. and rewriting them all to handle it is not something we're going to be able to offer for this.
Yeah.
On the topic, so those dead man things are unlocked on Saturday at the stroke of midnight, as it turns from Friday to Saturday. So you'll get the quests all unlocked, which means you'll also be able to get ancients for the first time. You'll be able to go and do barrows, and we'll also be adding the 6-hour dead man move protection at this point. So if you haven't played yet and you log on and finish tutorial, you will get 6 hours where you don't have no one can attack you. You can't attack anyone else, and you get double the dead man XP rate at that point. You can go and turn it off whenever you want, but so you can sort of get into the game mode.
With post-quest rewards or items obtained during quests, rather, something like the Grigri, players will have to go back and then gather the materials and make it.
Suddenly give you all the items that you might have acquired had you done the quest for real.
Right.
And it also won't fill your bank with the stuff you might have been handed at the end of the quest. Take, I don't know, a mundane example would be the Gnome Amulet of Defense from Tree Gnome Village.
Yep.
You're not going to log in and find Tree Gnome Village is complete and an amulet's turned up. You'll just find it's complete. And if you speak to King Baldwin in the middle of the maze, then he'll treat you like a player who's completed the quest and say, oh, you've lost your amulet, here it is. Unfortunately, he won't say, oh, and you might have got some XP if you'd been doing the quest normally, so I'll give you the XP now. We're not going to be able to offer that.
I mean,
So
You would, however, have been able to do the quest now if you want that XP.
So yeah, basically to add to that, things like the Monkey Madness 2 experience after the quest is not available. Things like if you use the balloons for escapes from Enlightened Journey, you will have to unlock those yourself. Basically anything that comes after the quest, so the piety prayers, you will have to go do. So there'll probably be quite a lot of people in Camelot very soon. Basically things like that are post-quest bonuses, effectively, you will have to go do yourself.
Well said.
In terms of the Grigri, however, things like that, you can get items. I mean, the Grigri is a good one because you can actually speak to what's his called, Zuknok, in the northwest corner of the Grand Exchange. You can just get them back for free after Monkey Madness 2.
Exchange?
Right.
So
No.
I think he means Gnome Stronghold.
Yes.
no Stronghold. Did I say Grand Exchange?
Only slightly.
Wow, I'm zoned out.
I think
I'm sorry.
the only one you
Bit fun.
really want is Crux, because you can walk around
Yeah.
everything else without a Grigri after Monkey Madness 2. So
Sorry, relative question. The music cape and the quest cape, can players just buy those?
Should be able to.
Ooh,
They'll have all the quests done and all the music unlocked for them. So
okay.
Does that include, therefore, the extra thing from the Rag and Bone Man, or did you cover that?
I believe that is also unlocked. Oh, so they'll be able to get that bone sack if they want the bone sack. It does nothing, but you might want it.
be going with a sack of bones on your back.
Yeah, they're probably not going to use that too much.
While we're still on the topic, and granted that it was just the Dead Man weekend, we won't have so much Dead Man stuff next week, apologies. There's a couple ideas here. I think these might be from Bodhi, saying, upon death, only skilled players will lose items from their bank and stats. If you die and you are not skilled, then you will only lose the items that you currently have on you. Believes these kind of death will give incentive to players who die to PKers a chance to continue playing the game. Yeah. I just think about that.
So the thing is with major changes like that, obviously we can only really try them in future seasons and see how it goes.
Yeah.
So as long as we're willing to do that, things like that aren't really.
And we are willing to make changes, as we've changed Deadman quite a bit since the very first one.
Certainly, the way the tournament works, we have.
Yeah.
Not too late to change it for this season either.
Another idea is level caps and capping experience per, say, day or week. That is one that players are concerned about because not everybody can contribute 20 hours a day or whatever people might think is needed to be there at the top. So
Somebody had a good counter argument to that one, is that as soon as clans hit those caps, they'd be out PKing instead, while clans might spend most of the time training for the first 5 days and not be out PKing, and it might cause more issues.
See, this is obviously more appealing to the casual player, and then others who are able and willing to dedicate more time are saying, definitely don't do that. Ruins my advantage. little controversial there.
I mean, one person had the feedback on that original suggestion that you do still lose some stuff from the bank if you're unskulled, just less. So you'd only lose like 3 stats rather than 10. So it's a little bit less punishing, but there's still an interesting key for the PK to get, and still an incentive there to go on PK.
Right.
What do you think?
About the first idea?
Yeah.
I like it. However, I feel like it kind of needs, if it's going to happen, it needs to go hand in hand with the second idea, which is if you are a skulled player and you are attacked by another player, the other player will skull when attacking you. This will create more 1v1 fights in Deadman and PKing in general. The skull timer given to the player who attacks another skulled player is yet to be decided.
I suspect we want to go with a lower timer.
Yeah.
So it's less punishing, more like 5 minutes or something. But maybe it works.
I also wouldn't want to give a skull to a player who fights back after being hit initially. If, say, Justin is sculling and he's walking around and then I hit him without you attacking me, sure, I should get a skull in this idea. But if you hit me first, I should be able to fight back without getting a skull.
Sounds logical.
I think it's something we actually, as a team, need to have a meeting about and discuss if there's changes we want to make to this season and what we want to do for the next one as well.
But keep those suggestions coming, guys. We are reading them, and we'll see what we can bring to the next season. That being said, back to the normal questions. Boris says, can we get a reset button for KDR?
So if you've had a bad streak of being killed a lot, you can pretend it didn't happen and then hope your luck changes and you can look like you've got a nice pristine record.
Well, we just offered the actual KDR tracker, so below 20 wilderness, and everybody's looking at their KDR and going, wow, I didn't realize it was so bad.
Given that we just changed the definition of what KDR is, we could do a one-off reset button, although I wasn't clear whether the player was asking for one that they could use all the time.
Yeah.
I don't have anything against them resetting it all the time because it's just for them.
It's not like it does anything.
Exactly. You can
It
just
only
farm
shows
it.
if you stand near that notice board.
If they want to see what their KDR is on a specific weekend and reset it the next weekend, that sort of thing, I can see it being useful.
Pardon me?
They do a night of direct peaking and want to check the KDR then, and they do a night of something else. So I can see use in it.
A night of something else? Oh, I see, yes.
All right. Smelly says, any plans for the Well of Goodwill to return?
Next time we're doing a charity event of that nature, I imagine we could use it to collect a bit more of the players' generosity. They've been very kind with it before.
We do have a bot busting coming up soon. The date hasn't specifically been announced yet. But
yeah, admittedly, adding the well into the game just so that the JMod operating the thing can then be seen using items on it.
yeah, I'm just saying they used to go hand in hand. They don't necessarily have to anymore.
I don't think there's a charity event actually planned at the minute, but we'll announce it when there is.
Also, if we do a charity auction again, this mug could be yours. If we do a charity auction again.
Type in the chat how much you'd pay for that mug.
Don't.
Well, they're going to do it now. He's already said it.
Yeah.
I'm
too late.
interested. I'm actually interested in real responses on this.
I'm
They're not gonna
interested
give
in
real
seeing
responses,
a whole
frankly,
chat
but-
of
The question is, will it look like that?
Well, I don't seem to be able to stop
There
it
it is.
looking like this. I put it through the dishwasher too. It's a little bit crusted.
Also, something that's worth mentioning is that
Numbers have gone down.
sometime in April, the RuneScape documentary will be released, which is hype. It's been a long wait.
Would it be
but
the 1st of April?
maybe not. Early August.
This was a popular.
And we'll announce a date on that soon. But sometime in April, it'll be there, and it's going to be hype.
This was a popular suggestion this week on Reddit, or rather today even just came up. Safe PvP worlds. Safe PvP world suggestion. So entire world is safe death for with normal respawn locations. You can fight anyone anywhere. One thing I'm going to notice about this, I'm going to point out rather, it has a lot of support because it was pitched identically to how Deadman was originally pitched. When I suggested Deadman on this couch, different couch actually, however long ago it was exactly the same, which was, imagine you're chopping a tree and then somebody comes up and starts chopping your tree. Wouldn't you just love to turn around and just kill him? That's pretty much it. So that's the basis here. However, when you die, you don't lose anything. You can come right back and fight that guy.
Basically, they want a tournament world kind of thing where they can actually just do whatever they want, as opposed to be restricted to certain areas.
So
I don't mind that because there's no incentive for people to mess around, and you're just there to. It's just fun, isn't it? There's no incentive. It's just a fun experience that could be cool.
So
I have nothing against it.
my thoughts on this, first of all, it feels private servery. It sounds like it might be more fun as a world opened up once every so often, like the tournament worlds, rather than permanently.
Kind of
That's my
reminds
two
me of,
cents.
was it Classic that had the right-click duel option?
For members, it was a members' benefit. You could duel other players anywhere in the game and just use something like the trade screen to let you stake.
Kind of reminds me of that. I quite like that dual option again, but that's really old. I don't know how difficult that would be as well.
Let's get an opinion from the chat then. Should we straw poll
Not
this?
all that difficult. The thing is that that classic combat was a thing where you were locked together and you couldn't walk away except in the after 3 hits.
Uh-huh.
And once you walked away, you were not in combat anymore. For us, combat is a much more fluid thing where you could be attacked and you're in combat for a few seconds and then you might run away and the fight might go all over the place.
Let's save Duel Anywhere for another discussion. Let's just leave this as the safe PvP world.
Yes.
Somebody said
myself.
Yes.
Somebody said Archie doesn't want to have fun. That's not true. I don't want this to be released as something and then be dead content. I'd rather see it thrive once a month instead of, But yeah, so that straw poll is going to be in the chat for you guys momentarily.
Just say PvP world.
Yeah. So you respawn wherever your respawn location is. You don't lose anything. You'd probably get experience for hitting players.
Don't know about that one. Because in a multi, you could probably get a team of people to just...
If I'm killing Bandos and Bandos has dealt damage to me, a player comes and kills me, it would be Bandos' drop because he's done more damage, and then the player could prevent me from coming back to get my stuff. I saw this in a comment. Is that a situation?
If I kill a boss and it's dropping something for me and somebody else kills me, then yeah, I wouldn't be able to pick my drop off the floor very easily.
No, sorry.
If you died to General Grado,
Yeah.
somebody could kill you on the way back to try to go back in and get this stuff.
So
So that
I'm
I think would be
using-
part of the parcel of the world.
As it currently stands, if I die and my stuff falls on the ground, other players are probably not going to see it.
Right, but if it's untradables that I'm trying to... Well, you keep those now, so...
You could go to a different world, get back, then hop.
That's... Okay, so that's the problem.
It wouldn't pass, Chris. It wouldn't pass.
Oh, safe. You wouldn't lose anything. What am I thinking?
No, you would. You'd safe PvP death.
Yeah.
But if you died to a monster,
Oh, right, so if it counts as the monster's kill, that's what I was saying.
I
That was making sense.
Oh, I see. If death to a monster counted as a dangerous death,
Yeah.
that would be quite awkward, really.
I think players would start complaining that they couldn't get their stuff, so if it would have to be something like a no-save game tournament world or something where it's...
We certainly wouldn't let your items be visible to other players because that's just asking people to,
How?
well,
Just say it, Chris.
They've joined forces to meme the straw poll, and it's had
I don't think it's
73%
even got a
yes.
serious answer anymore. They've just, it's like those YouTube videos where you get the equal like and dislike ratios, or they do some stuff with it, and it's like it's not even a real representation of what they want anymore.
I think it's an interesting idea. What do you guys think about the difference between it being like a permanent world or a temporary thing coming every?
I think it would have to be a temporary thing like tournament worlds are, because if people go, oh, it's all exciting, and then they realise that, hang on a minute, I could go do something else, improve my account or whatever,
Yeah.
and it'll die off. Whereas if it's kept fresh every so often, it's more likely to get people in it.
well, the good thing
They
is if
agree
you do it
with
as a
temporary,
temporary
that's
thing and it doesn't work out, then no long-term harm done. And if you do it as a temporary thing and it does work out, we can do it again longer.
All right. Let's see if we can get through a couple more of these. Can you add placeholders for everything? Some enchanted jewelry are missing placeholders like different charged dual rings.
Yeah, the thing about that is we were trying to work out how people would want it. Like, if I have a ring with 3 charges and I take it out leaving a placeholder and bring it back having used it, it's now a ring with 2 charges or 1 charge, and I'd want it to go back into that slot where it came from anyway. So jewelry with multiple charges shares a placeholder just so that you can take it out, use some charges and put it back anyway without it having to be in a different slot with a different placeholder. Now, not everyone wants that. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to have a toggle where the placeholder system works in 2 completely different ways for these things. So we went with this for launch, and we said that if players were strongly in agreement that jewellery should all have individual placeholders, so that your ring with fewer charges would not go back to where you took it out from. If they all agreed on that, then we can do it. But that didn't seem that there was such wide agreement on it. We can very happily put to a poll, though, including a straw poll however you like, or I see at 6 o'clock, or a real poll on the website.
Perhaps. I think, given how long placeholders have been out, and this has only just come up, maybe not such a pressing concern.
Yeah, I mean, it came up a bit at the time, and we explained why it was this way. And in a lot of cases, people said, "Oh, actually, don't change it after all."
Right.
I know we went back and forward a little bit in development, and we went with this, and I think it was for good reason that we thought this is probably the thing that'll work out. And I think as soon as people got used to it and worked out how to use it as it is, there's not been an issue, really.
Either way, it's very easy to change if the players do agree. And I don't have a problem with that in the slightest. It's very easy.
Let's do one last question then. Wanted says, can you make it so that you can cut the roots in Neve's Slayer Cave using all sharp weapons, not just axes?
You can't cut trees with swords.
You can in real life.
That cave's pretty convenient as it is.
Yeah.
Also, it does serve as a good barrier between the rooms, doesn't it? But on the topic of Neve's Cave, there'll be something in the dev blog coming Friday, which you've all been asking for a while.
Which might make this a little bit moot with the route.
I'm sure you'll figure out what that is.
That being said, guys, if you missed the Deadman tournament, it was, I think, our most successful one so far. Certainly was viewer-wise, and we saw a lot of players hop into the game. I think we saw 70,000 concurrent right after the next season went live. Pretty cool. If you missed it, it's on YouTube. I think we might be uploading a very brief summary video. It's like a 2-minute recap video if you don't want to watch the entire hour. But aside from that, guys, thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.